Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is JudgeSpektre. Now, my next Buried Treasures video, The Thing, is coming along nicely, but in the meantime, while I put that together, with the upcoming release of Resident Evil 5, I thought it only fitting that I give my thoughts on the Resident Evil franchise up until this point. Primarily Resident Evil 2, as it was probably the most popular one of the originals, and the one most commonly talked about, and the one I have the most first-hand experience with, as I used to own it. I want to start off first by just saying that I hate the Resident Evil series. I've hated it since I played Resident Evil 2 in probably 1998. I'm not exactly sure on the date. And by saying that, I probably opened myself up to a great amount of criticism because Resident Evil is such a beloved survival horror series. But if I've done that, then so be it. I'm willing to accept it because I hated the series. And you might ask, JudgeSpektre, how could you possibly hate Resident Evil? Where do I begin? First off, the controls are just stiff and sloppy. I try to move around the map, and instead of walking in one direction, I rotate in a circle. That is very irritating. Secondly, navigating the main menus is a problem, because you have to constantly combine your ammo and your gun together to reload, which means constant stop and go, stop and go. And not to mention, key items such as cranks and levers take up space in your inventory, which means not only do I have to worry about managing weapons and health items, I also have to worry about managing these items together too, which is consistently frustrating. Well, without a doubt, one of the most damning things that Resident Evil 2 or any of them have against it are just the stupendously terrible camera angles. I swear, I will go on record right now for saying the Resident Evil series has the worst camera angles of any game I've ever played. There have been games that have had worse camera angles, but they were usually just isolated incidents. Resident Evil has consistently terrible camera work from beginning to end credits. And I think that about 90% of the vaunted terror this game is supposed to inspire is based around the fact that you cannot see what's blatantly in front of you. I mean, if I'm standing on a screen in that game, I can obviously see what's in front of me, so why can't I see what's in front of me on the screen? Most of the time, I end up shooting blindly because I can't see what I'm supposed to be hitting. And if I move forward to get the screen to change, odds are I end up walking right into what I'm supposed to be shooting and taking unnecessary hits. Either of those outcomes result in me taking damage when I shouldn't or me wasting ammo when I shouldn't, and that's not fun. Another minor thing that really irritated me about Resident Evil was just the puzzles that seemed like they were pulled completely out of nowhere. Seriously, in Resident Evil 2, where you're in a police station, it was a normal police station, more or less, I would suppose, until the zombie attack. Why do I have to light a fireplace, causing a oil painting above it to melt and a key to fall out? And why do I place a medallion in a fountainhead, causing a key to shoot out of it? And why do they have like 20 doors in a police precinct all locked with keys shaped like a heart, a club, a spade, and a diamond? What kind of police station operates like that? I mean, these are puzzles that I would expect to see in an Indiana Jones movie, not a survival horror zombie game. I mean, seriously, if I'm trying to find the fountain of youth, this is the kind of stuff I'd expect to encounter, honestly. There were some puzzles, such as powering on a generator and managing power distribution, that felt pretty good in the proper place. But a lot of the other ones were just pulled out of nowhere, and it just felt out of place. And keep in mind, all these problems I had, I didn't have them just recently. I thought these exact same things in 1998, probably. Like I said before, I don't remember the year, but I remember it close enough. It was probably around 98. I was never terrified one time playing this game because I couldn't be terrified because I was too busy being pissed off because the game was just so frustrating. And the first disc earned itself a one-way ticket out my bathroom window and onto the street below, where it was promptly run over by 16 cars. I watched each one of them. Interesting enough, I did finish the second disc, so I did beat Resident Evil 2, but I think it was what's her name, Claire's disc. It wasn't Leon's disc, the main character of Resident Evil 4. It was Claire, probably, because I'm pretty sure it was his disc that took the ride. So as you can imagine, with the way I hated Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 probably, as I never played it too much, my anticipation level for Resident Evil 4 was pretty much as low as you could get. I really doubt that you could get much lower than I was already at. And then I started hearing all this hype about Resident Evil 4, which once again did not surprise me since people hyped up the other games and I really hated them, so I had no reason to expect that this game would be any different. So I waited until Resident Evil 4 was released on PlayStation, and a friend of mine loaned me his copy. And after playing it, I have to say, just when I thought I could not possibly hate this series anymore, they go and release a game like this and totally redeem themselves. Seriously, Resident Evil 4 is one of the greatest video games I've ever played, bar none. This is a game that you don't even have to really like the Resident Evil series, you just have to be a fan of good games in general, because this is definitely one of them. It is white-knuckle action from beginning to end. It's a game that you cannot ever take your hands off the controller even during a cutscene sequence, because random buttons may pop up, and if you don't hit them, you likely will end up dead. And they basically corrected almost every problem I had with the original ones. The camera angle is now over the shoulder with a bigger emphasis on the action, which is good because now you can actually see what's in front of you, which is interesting, and I like. Reloading is now handled with the touch of a button, which is very helpful, so I don't have to navigate menus anymore. And also, key items no longer take up space in your inventory as they have their own separate menu, which is a huge help because you don't have to worry about constantly having to drop things in an item box. And even the puzzles are even a bit more believable this time because you're going into the enemy's home turf, so it's a bit more logical that they would have put traps or whatever in place. They're not any less elaborate, but they're at least a slight bit more believable this time around, to me anyway. All in all, Resident Evil 4 is just a tremendous video game, and no, it does not change my view on the franchise as a whole. I still hate it, but I love Resident Evil 4, and I'm looking forward to Resident Evil 5 because I know that they're not changing the proven formula very much since I played the demo, and I like it. So if you have a chance to play Resident Evil 4, don't pass it up. I'm sure most people already have played it, but if you haven't, check it out. You will not be disappointed.